Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video you will find the answers you seek. We're gonna answer a few quick little questions, mainly just regarding more food topic stuff and feeding stuff. You know, all the fun stuff. So first question, how much should you be feeding your cattle dog per day? Well, on average, it's usually about 2 cups per day. I'm gonna say that again for the people in the back that didn't hear it. On average, it's 2 cups per day. So depending on what type of food you're feeding your dog, or you know how much exercise your dog is getting, that can play a factor in it too. Also depends if you have like a heeler that's mixed with pony or mixed with something mini or something, you know, the size of the dog will matter as well. So obviously you want to determine how much food by all that, by how much your dog weighs, how much exercise it's getting, and stuff like that. And from what I've seen from most heeler parents and from what I've seen in my groups and stuff, the average seems to be 2 cups per day. You just kind of have to, you know, use common sense about it, you know. Read the labels on your food, or if you don't have labels on your food, you know, obviously if your dog's getting chunky, you're feeding it too much. If it doesn't have enough chunk and you're seeing ribs, you need to feed it more. And when I say cups, I mean like cup, where it says 1 cup, not cup. Like there's a difference. I've seen people actually feed their dogs a serving of food with larger cups than this, and this is like enough to hold 2 cans of soup, the best kind of coffee mug. But anyway, so yes, a cup means a cup, not 2 cups to 3 cups. Next question, should you let your dogs free feed? I don't. That is a personal choice up to you whether you want to do free feeding in your home or not. Personally, I don't like it. And since I have multiple dogs, I really don't like it. I couldn't imagine free feeding. Words are hard on this channel, we know this already. The reason I don't like to free feed is because, one, I want to make sure everybody's getting the nutrition they need. So mealtime is a thing. There's a set order of who gets their bowl first, and you know, it's a thing in our house. And since all my dogs fall into the average of 2 cups per day, we have breakfast and dinner time. Like it's an actual like meal time. I want to make sure that I can see if they're eating, because the problem I have with like free feeding, it's like, well, what if the dog's not really actually eating properly, or if it's having trouble eating, you know. Meal times for me, I get to watch and make sure everybody's had their meal, that they've, you know, no issues eating it, that they didn't leave any behind for the other one to steal type thing, because obviously if the dog's not eating, that could be a cause for concern of like, oh, well, maybe she's sick, maybe she has an upset stomach, maybe there's something else going on. You know, some people say they have an issue doing that, which have them skip 1 meal and then you'll see how quickly they learn that, oh, I should eat now. I know that sounds mean, but I've never had an issue. I've only had to do that, I think, 1 time with the 2 young ones. Like, they didn't eat their food. And man, were they hungry at dinner time, because they decided, I don't want to have breakfast today. But it took just that 1 time where it was like, oh, this is what we do here. Next question, how often do you give your dogs treats? Probably too often in this house. So when it comes to like, you know, like every day they get treats, like here and there, just a couple. We don't overdo it, because obviously if you're feeding your dog too many treats, that's extra calories. You know, you don't want him to be chunky monkeys. It's not a lot. I don't give them like 20 or anything like that. It's just like a handful of treats. It just all kind of depends on the day, but they do get a little extra snacks per day. And then that's also why I stick with the 2 cups of food, because even if, you know, they probably could eat up to 3 cups of food, but they get other stuff to where they don't need the extra cup of food, if that makes sense. Did I say that right? I don't know. I'm having trouble today. I'm having trouble every day. And then when it comes to like chew bones and stuff, I usually do maybe like twice a week they get a chew type thing, like whether it's like a pig ear or like something like along those lines. I don't do those that often because they just don't need the extra calories, and my dogs are exercised enough to where they don't feel the urge to chew that often, and plus they have their other toys and stuff if they really want to. Now I know some people might think, oh, that's not enough, you know, you have to give your heeler chew things every day. I really don't. I kind of save the chew bone things for like the days I can't walk them, like for the rainy days and stuff, or the days it's too hot for any of us to go outside. Those days definitely are chew bone day, and then just a random day type thing. That's just how I run my household, but you do you. Remember that. You do you. And the last question, which is kind of a dual question, is how and what do I feed my cattle dogs? So how I feed them is I feed them with spoon and bowl. You take the spoon, you take food, put in bowl. dog gets fed. For fancier meals we use fork, and because they're spoiled and rotten, we hand feed them too sometimes. There you go. You want some chicken? Yes, yes, I know. We don't always hand feed them with a fork, but here, get some veggies, Clea. Yo, you're a good girl. I don't know why I use accent today, but it seems fun to do. If you follow my videos, I think you got kind of an idea of what I feed them. Stop searching for the food behind me. I can see you. So if you follow my videos, you kind of get the idea of what I feed them. But I guess if I wanted to call it anything, I am a mixer type feeder. So yes, I feed them kibble, I feed them wet food, I feed them home cooked food, and I mix it. I give them a variety. I don't want them to have the same type of meal every day. You are killing me there, dog. Look at you. Don't worry, I'll give you more. So the wet food is either home cooked, like whether, and I don't do that as often as I'd like to because of time and just, yeah, it's mostly time. I used to do it more often when I just had the original 3, but, so I might get back into that once I figure out balance in my life. But, so they'll get either home cooked food, for just one meal, or they'll get wet food just for one meal, or they'll get wet food and kibble mixed with a meal, or they'll have a day where there's kibble for one meal and then kibble and wet food for another one. Most days it's all kibble with some sort of wet food because I really want them to have more wet food than I do kibble. So the wet food that I buy, I don't have just one specific brand. I use a ton of different brands, and I would say probably 98% of the wet food that I buy is grain-free. So even though I'm not totally on board with a grain-free diet, if you've seen my previous video, most of the wet food I use is grain-free because I do want them to have some grain. I don't want them to have all grain. So usually if I'm giving them anything mixed with the kibble that does have grain, it's grain-free. So I do like brands like Honest Kitchen. I like brands like Merrick. There's tons and tons of brands out there that I approve of. I just can't think of all of them right now. I know one of our specialty stores carries a certain bison brand that Kage loved. It was pure bison basically in a can. I want to give them as much variety. I want to give them as many options as possible because in case, you know, the floof hits the fan, which it kind of did this year, you know, if our normal food goes out of stock, I want to have some other option. I want them to experience all types of meats and veggies and everything I can give them, so they have options if I can't get them something else, so they're used to eating it. But that's just what I do. I do know that duck and pork are not huge favorites of mine to feed. It's because of what happens to their gas chamber when they eat it. So I'm not a huge fan of eating or feeding those types of meats. I usually stick to like chicken and lamb and fish, and mostly it's chicken type stuff. Kind of like how we don't want to eat the same thing every day. I don't want my dog to eat the same thing for every meal and every day. So I try my best to give them a variety. And we are currently, if you want to know the actual kibble I'm using Purina Pro Plan. I'm using Purina Pro Plan. I cannot talk today. I know Purina had a really bad rap for a couple of years. Actually, when we first got Silver, we were doing Purina dog chow, and then I went through all these different diets and things through the 15 years we've had her, you know, and we're back to a different brand of Purina, but I've seen great results from it. They've got great coats, great poops, great attitudes. You know, if you ask me in like a year or two, I might be feeding some other kind of kibble. It's what's working for me right now. It's been working for me for the last 3 years because we started all the seniors on the senior one, and I had great results. And the girls, where we got them from, she was feeding them Purina Puppy Pro Plan. So I went from that to the adult one, and then they stopped liking eating the adult one, and I switched to the sport one. So I might switch again in the next 2 years or 3 years. I mean, I've gone through tons of brands with the original 3 trying to find what works best, and just what works best for me is mixing it. I have my own little system that I do, and it seems to work. Everybody's happy, healthy type stuff. So I hope all the questions are answered of how much to feed, what I fed, all that stuff, what I still feed, all the feeding stuff. Would you like to have more food? Yes? Yes, want to finish? You going to share with your sister? It's like, no, no share with sister. This is like the worst Russian accent. Clea, yep. Clea, come get. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Take it off the fork, woman. Pull with your might. You're a cow dog. You're tougher than this. There you go. Remember to click all the buttons, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Man, the other two pups are missing out, you know? Yeah. They're getting second breakfast. Not spoiled. Not spoiled at all. Mm-mm. No, no, you're not.